What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy, Baby Moy, representing ENT Hooligans, and I am here pulling double shift, as you guys know. And yes, we did do a podcast earlier today for those who listened to the Sports Vista edition of today's ENT Hooligans episode. Just want to remind you guys to please subscribe, thumbs up, hit that bell. That way you can always be notified as towards what we are doing here at ENT Hooligans. Remember, for gameplays, podcasts, and so much more, even reviews coming up soon. We are the entertainment hub for all. And today, we're going to get to today. Or should I say tonight. I have a very, very, very special treat for you. This is what we like to call Endless Possibilities. This is where we talk about things that pertain to life, such as religious views that affect society, so on and so forth. And we even interview people from time to time. And like I said, what a treat I have for you tonight. And I'm gonna let this young man introduce himself.
Hello there.
What's going on?
Hi.
This here is, his name is Anthony. Would you mind giving your last name or no?
Yeah, my name is Anthony Hernandez, and I'm calling from San Jacinto in the lovely state of California.
That's right. He's repping Cali, people. So don't mess with him. He's dangerous.
I don't rep California. California reps me.
Oh, you heard that, folks. Oh, that's good. That's good. Oh, man. So, before we get to all the hard-hitting questions, how has your day been progressing thus far, man?
It's been good, keeping busy, work's work. I'm very blessed to be working where I am for as long as I've been. And actually, I'm even more blessed to have something that I love to do. So, it's going great, and, I couldn't be more happier.
Amen to that, my brother, and I love the fact that you use the word blessings, because a lot of times we overlook our blessings. We pretty much, underrate just the fact that we're able to wake up each and every day, smile with the sun, say hi to our loved ones, so on and so forth. That's a blessing in and itself.
Oh, amen to that, brother.
So, as you guys can tell, this is a very positive young man here. So, would you mind giving us a little background on who you are, a little bit about, just a small snippet about yourself?
Well, I'm 31 years old, and I am married to a wonderful, wonderful wife. Her name is Anna, and been married for, it will be 7 years this year. So,
congrats.
Thanks, man. November 13th, that's next Monday.
Oh, wow.
So, I'm happy for that. And also, we have our own little blessing, Malachi.
Mm-hmm.
He's my first and only son at this time, is 10 years old, and the unique factor about these two people in my life is that they are both totally blind. Now, we'll get to any talk about that later, but, I figure that it's just something that I'm really blessed to have, and I can explain that in more detail later. To continue with what I do, I work with plants. I work in a nursery. Been working there for going on 6 years, and doing what I love. I was very, very fortunate to get a promotion there after working 2 years. I worked out in the fields, hard work, hard labor, but once you've grown up in this type of economy and you know how rough it can be, that in of itself is just a relief. But I'm very blessed to have something I love to do, and and I didn't go to school for what I did. I actually had to drop out, I had to have take care of responsibilities. My son was born while I was in my junior year of college, and once you have a child, you gotta reprioritize, and so you do what you gotta do.
So
take care of your family.
So you were pretty far into your collegiate career, so to speak.
I was a junior. I was 3 years in, And believe it or not, instead of plants and horticulture, which I never thought I would love doing, I was studying biology with an emphasis in criminal investigation.
Oh, wow.
So I was gonna get into the CSI, be the new Grissom from that show,
Wow.
and that's where I thought my life was going. I thought that's what I wanted to do, and I was headed on that path, but unfortunately I couldn't complete it. Now, I don't want no one to take that into, where is that, like, oh, so you're blaming your family for your shortcomings. It is nothing like that. It's just you have to reprioritize your priorities. So, I had to make a decision at that point when my son was born. I tried to get through it. I tried to push through it, and it was too much for me. It was I was working full time, going to school full time, and I couldn't keep up. And so I had to get rid of something because I felt like I wasn't giving my 100%.
So it was pretty much a lot on your plate, school and having to juggle the ties that is family and having to support that, put food on the table and all that.
Yes.
I see. So bring us to your job. How did that come about?
Okay, so funny story. Before I got this job working at this nursery, I was working in a group home for youth that were wards of the state from ages 13 to 17.
Okay.
Interesting job. I'm going to have to tell you about that on this podcast. Some of the crazy things I've
So there's
seen.
stories.
There's stories, so we'll get to that in a little bit.
I like that. Okay.
But I was job hunting at the time. I was on food stamps here in California, cash aid, and you're only living off of $300 in cash a month, which normally went to rent and bills and your food stamps. You couldn't do nothing. You couldn't go out anywhere, and so I was looking for a job. And then one day, my brother-in-law, who was also looking for a job at the time, got told by his mom, like, hey, my friend's got this job, like, they're looking for people at this nursery. It's called Altman Plans. And you have to go there really early in the morning, like 5 in the morning, wait, and they grab people and see if you can get a job.
Uh-huh.
So we went there the first day, got up at 4 in the morning, got there like at 5 in the morning, waited till about 7, got told, oh, we ain't hiring today. I didn't get discouraged, although I wanted to, and we went back the next day.
So easy to fall under that negative note, right?
Yeah, it's really easy. But we go again the next day because I'm like, hey, it's worth a shot. And so we get there, we wait, and the thing how they hire people here is that they did not interview you. It's labor. You're working outside. You're working at the fields. What they want is that they want people who can work hard and want to work.
Mm-hmm. So basically they rate you more or less on efficiency?
In a sense. So what they did is that they grabbed several groups of us and different supervisors, different sections, and they grabbed a group of us and brought us to this greenhouse.
Uh-huh.
This greenhouse at the time was full of gallon-sized chili peppers.
Okay.
And so we go this bed inside this house, and there's a bed of chili peppers in these pots that are pot tight.
Mm-hmm.
And so they said, okay, we need you to space them in lines using this pattern. And I didn't know Spanish at the time, so I'm sitting there with my brother-in-law. He's helping me translate. To clarify, a lot of Central American folk work at this place.
Okay.
And so, from Mexico, Guatemala, those countries.
Right. I'm Central
so,
American myself, so.
Yeah. So, we get there and we start spacing. They say, okay, space 2 lines. Okay, you go. And it's my turn. I go up to the supervisor and I ask him, hey, do you speak English? He straight up tells me in English, no, I do not. And I took that as a signal like, okay, I am not going to like this. So I did my job, and I did what I was told to do on the test. I spaced the lines, and my lines were perfectly straight.
Okay.
I was the only one that was able to do that. So eventually they take us back to the front. They tell us to wait, and I guess they grade the people, and they say, okay. They announce we're hiring 5 people on this crew today. They announced 4 names, and then my name was announced at the last, and I was like, holy crap, I got a job?
Mm-hmm.
So they had me fill out this application. My brother-in-law was pissed because he didn't get hired. And so this guy, he decides to take my car and go home, so I'm left at a workplace 45 minutes from home without a car. So that was a challenge to get home.
My.
I had to ask for a ride to get home there. But I fill out and I found out, okay, you got your ID, you got your social security card, you're good to go, you're all checked in. Come tomorrow and wait in the morning, and someone will come get you and you will work. And the rest is history. I worked there for a year. And may I continue with the story of how I am at now?
Of course.
All right, so I'm working there in the fields for a year. I go from a laborer. Then they start trusting me to drive a tractor. I learn how to drive a tractor with trailer hooked up to it. I learn how to count inventory, so they got me doing that because they noticed I was really good at math. And I still don't know Spanish, so I'm picked. When you're working in any place that has people from another country in a language that you do not know and is there in front of you 24/7, you're forced to pick up the language. So I'm also starting to learn Spanish at this time.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, I'm still not fluent, but I have enough to get me by and communicate when I need to.
At least, and you know what you need to know in terms of your field, in terms of what you work.
Yes. So I've learned all that, and then after a year working there, December 29th, 2012, I got into a really bad car accident.
Okay.
Cracked my skull, broke my nose, shattered my wrist, had 2 compound fractures in my right arm, and I was lucky enough to survive that. I get through that, physical therapy.
That's a miracle in itself, man.
Yeah, that really is. And I'm fortunate enough to go in, explain to my supervisors, like, hey, this happened to me, blah, blah, blah. And they say, okay, we understand, you get better. And I do. I go back 4 months later, they have me irrigating, doing light duty, and then a couple months after that, I'm back on full swing as if I hadn't missed a day. And in doing that, I was lucky enough to, my supervisor at the time, he noticed what I was doing, and I was being proactive because I knew that I did not have the same physical capacity as I had before in my arm.
Okay.
So even though I was working through it every single day, it was tough, but I did it.
Right. It's still,
so,
in essence, it kind of impeded you from accomplishing tasks that otherwise you would have done more, I would say, smoothly, maybe?
Easier and less taxing on the body.
Mm-hmm. I got
because it's
you.
a lot of physical labor. So
right, obviously.
I start asking him, what can I do? What can I learn? Because I figure, I can't use my physical capacity. I can use my mental capacity. And so he starts having me, he gives me ideas like study this, read this, do this, learn this. And then one day I get told hey Anthony, are you good at computers? Do you know Excel? And I'm like, well, I know the basics, but I can learn. It's all right. So this man who went from, no, I do not speak English at all to you, and then people who thought I would not last no more than 2 weeks. After working there for 2 years, they say, well, we have this opportunity that we want to bring up to you. I get interviewed by the general manager. He talks to me, learns my attitude, and then he, the supervisor for the availability department, and the availability does count on quality, inventory, helps sales with these plants, comes up to me as I'm working in the field and says, hey, I want you on my team. Will you come work for me? yes, I accept the offer. And the rest is history. I've been in that department for almost 4 years. I've learned a lot from both that supervisor and the one I have now. Because, bless him, my supervisor who picked me up, he got promoted to a higher position. And so the supervisor I have now has been willing to teach me a lot and has really opened the doors for me. And I've really grown in this. I've gotten several raises during that time period. I'm making my name known throughout the key accounts and sales. So I am very blessed to be where I am today. And it's all thanks to, first and foremost, God, and then the support of my family to have my back 100%. Without them, I wouldn't have been able to do it.
How much of a driving force is God in your life? And also, how much of a driving force is your family?
Well, here's something I'd like to say. Before these jobs, I worked in sales. I sold life insurance. And I had people who taught... Actually, I had one person. His name was Kalani Vale. A very smart man, very intelligent man, very God-loving man. And he taught me that the only way you're going to be happy is you have to live your life by 3 things in this order: faith, family, business. Every morning you wake up, number 1 is faith. Thank God for what you have.
Amen.
The good and the bad, what's coming, good and the bad. Because
Amen.
Without him, there's nothing. So you have to make sure you have that solidified in your life.
Amen. Yes.
So second is business. Not business, family. You only have one family. You're only going to have however many children. You're only going to have one mother, one father. You got to make sure that they know how much you love them and that you put them as a priority. After that is your business. If I go to work and my wife calls me saying you need to come home because this, and this, or because not any reason like, hey, you have to pick up your son from school, or no one's going to take your son to school tomorrow, which happened a few weeks ago. You have to take him. I'm going to tell my boss right then and there, hey, I'm coming late because I need to do this. Or, hey, I need to leave because this is happening. I will not, for any reason, say, oh, but I have to finish my work first. I do that when it's like something that's not really important, like, hey, can we go to the store after this? Yeah, when I get home from work, stuff like that.
Right, okay.
But like I'm talking in like any emergency situation or anything where something's going to happen that's out of your control and you need to take care of it in terms of your family, something very important, I make that a priority. It doesn't matter if I lose a day of work, a couple hours of work. Family comes before business. So faith, family, business. I figure if you live your life in that order, which I have been doing to the best I can, you'll find yourself a lot more happier. You look at some of these CEOs of the biggest companies in the world.
And how do they walk around?
They're alone.
And why? What do you think attributes to that?
They do not live by this list of priorities that I've given you in the correct order. Yes, they might have faith, they might have family, they have business, of course. They're rich men, women, but the thing is that they put business before everything. In some cases, you look at some of these businessmen, businesswomen who have had several divorces, children that don't love them or listen to them, or say my parents are never around. That's because they're putting their business before their family. And then some of these people who are saddened or they feel like something's missing in their life, even though they got the business and the family, they're lacking the faith. And so they're having a gap in their hole in their life, which they can't really explain. And that's a way of saying God telling you through the Holy Spirit that you're missing me. He's going to make you feel like something's missing because you don't have your priorities in order.
So, like you said, faith first. And I believe that when you put faith first and you make faith an important part of your life and you recognize it, I think it brings forth every other sort of success that one can have in their lives. In this case, as exemplified, family. You know, you have faith, then you're going to have a strong foundation to support family. And through family, you have the strength and sedative enough to, you know, go about and do your business and do it as best and efficiently as you can. Because you have two main courses in your life that obviously, as mentioned, are a driving force. And I think that that was a very, very powerful statement that you just made. And I think a lot of people can learn from that. And it's so applicable, not just in terms of success, but just in life in general.
Yes, you want to think of this order as like a table. For example, right now I'm in my kitchen and there's a wooden and marble top table that I'm sitting at right now. You want to think of God as the top of the table, the marble, the granite, whatever it might be, the rock that is strong. The legs of the table are your family. That's what helps hold you up, and then you can stand with your business on top of this table.
There you go. I like how you put that, man. That's very very astute, should I say. I was trying to fumble for a good word there.
Yeah, it's a little.
You don't want to say good to everything. You don't want to say amazing. You just don't want to say awesome. You know.
Yes, exactly.
So this is good, man. This is good.
If anyone lives their life in that order, I truly believe, because I've been through it, will have. You might not be the richest person. You may never be, you know, however you define whatever that may be, you will be happy. You will be content with your life, and you will leave behind a legacy that you will be proud of.
Amen to that, brother. Definitely. Definitely. So, one thing I want to make note of is also we talk about blessings and how blessed you were that when that horrific accident occurred in your life, that you had a team behind you in terms of your peers and those who work alongside with you or that you work alongside with, that they were understanding of your situation, because it would have been so easy for them to not understand, you know, to put it in those sort of layman's terms.
Exactly.
And it happens. This is something that isn't strange to the job market, you know, people, because you see the market is such a now type of environment nowadays. We need people now. We want people now. We need, you know what I'm saying, next amount of people now. Now is the key, so to speak. And they were patient with you. They waited, and I think I want to go out on a limb here and say that part of that blessing came because they saw how efficient and how reliable of a person you are and how enthused you are in doing your craft. Yes?
Yes, I proved my place. When I got my promotion, I had doubts, you know. I always thought to myself, you know, there's so many other people that could be doing what I do better. And, you know, I doubted myself in the beginning because I had never been promoted. I had never been given such a position before, especially one of high responsibility. And even though I knew deep down I can take it, I questioned myself. I was like in that stage where you're trying, I don't know if it's a stage, but where like you're trying to be humble, but at the same time you're doubting yourself. But then I had people talk to me and they reassured me, like, you have this position because you earned it. You worked hard enough to get there. You're there for a reason. And so don't forget that.
Right. And that's always good to have sometimes, you know, someone that could be a voice of reassurance. Somebody that could tell you, you know what, you're here because you earned it. You're here because you fought to get to your spot that you deserve. And I
Yes,
think that
and
that's a good principle, instead of, see, when you have things spoon-fed to you, you can't necessarily appreciate it more so than if you work for something and man, I sweat and I worked and this, that, and the third to get where I'm at now. And you're more grateful to those things when you know how much time you've put in, how much labor you put out to get to set place.
Mm-hmm.
So, take me to your wife. Now, you said that she's totally blind.
Correct.
Now, I want to just cap on this real quick. For those who have been following the channel, us here at ENT Hooligans, we are a team of blind and visually impaired individuals, and the basis of this channel is obviously to inspire those who have an attitude of I can't, to put smiles on people's faces, to enlighten, to be informative, to be entertaining. Like I said, we do gameplays, we do podcasts, and so much more. Reviews coming soon. And so many other things. All that to say that it's to inspire. It's so that people know that as blind individuals, as people who are visually impaired, there's more to us than meets the eye. There's more to us than what other people would believe or say so otherwise. With that said, when it came to meeting your wife, first off, how did that come to be? And also, what was your mindset in terms of meeting her and knowing that she is totally blind? Where was your mindset that of, I don't know if I should give this a try, or, hey, you know what will be will be, let me give this a shot? Did you feel weirded out? What was your mindset, and how did you meet her?
Well, before I get into that, I need to explain, well, quite briefly, that I grew up as an only child under a single mother who had lupus, who was diagnosed with lupus, who was told never have children. And, well, I'm here, so that's what it was. But she taught me a lot. I saw her struggle. I saw her being able not to do things. And I grew up with the premise that people are people no matter what. And you treat women like they're a princess. I was taught to always be extremely respectful. When I met her, she was blind. Of course she's blind. And I had never met a blind person before.
Right, hence the questions that I asked you, because coming across a blind individual is such a scarce thing. It's not something that is encountered every day.
But in this case, I kind of took it so, not to disrespect anybody, but I took it very nonchalantly. I was just like, oh, she's blind. Okay. And that was it.
I think that a lot of blind individuals would smile at you saying that, though, simply because you're not looking at the physical aspect of it. You're just saying, oh, she's blind. Okay, it's like a whatever thing. It's kind of, is it safe to say that it was somewhat of an afterthought to you?
Yeah, kind of, she was very pretty. I thought she was cute. And that's from a distance. And then I found out she was blind, and I was like, oh, well then, all right. I just took it for face value, It is what she is, and what am I going to do about it?
Now, did that make you kind of back away a little bit, or did that make you even more interested because you were maybe about to indulge and dive into a world, into uncharted waters, may you?
I was an extremely sheltered kid growing up. I'm a single mom, only child, after being told that you'll never have children. Yes, I was greatly sheltered. So I getting into high school, because this is my freshman year of high school where I met my wife, I'm just learning to explore everything, so I become, like you said, I'm intrigued. I'm interested on what's going to happen. I wonder how this part of life is, how people live this part of life, especially when you have quote-unquote disability such as blindness.
Correct.
And so it actually made me want to get to know her more a little bit, but I never acted on it, and it wasn't because I was afraid. I was extremely shy. I was sheltered. I wasn't too experienced interacting with people. I'm the kind of person, actually I'm still the same now, where I'm the kind of person where I'll only have like 10, I'll have several acquaintances, but only like 10, 15, 20 people that I'll call as my friends.
And that's a very powerful word as well. And it's a word that I think people use loosely. So, okay, so you're sheltered, you're shy, and all that. Okay.
I got that. So what starts this thing? I get into a program for Best Buddies, which is where you get with special ed or students of that nature, or that are in special programs, where you get paired up with a normal student, and you'll do things together. You help each other with homework. You talk. There's community activities. And my friend that I knew from junior high, Roxanne, she knew my wife. She became friends with her before me.
Okay.
And
now is she cool with you putting her name out on YouTube?
Just her first name. I'm not giving last names
or
any personal details
okay.
of who they are.
Okay, good.
I figure like you can mention a name.
Yeah, of course.
But anyway, she comes up to me and she says, "Hey, my friend Anna over there, she thinks you're cute. She thinks you sound cute.
Uh-huh.
And she was wondering if she can have your number."
How'd you
I gave her my number.
Uh-huh.
And like I said, being sheltered, I don't think of anything like, oh, this girl thinks I'm hot. No. It's just, I give her my number. Like, hey, she wants my number. I'll give her my number. Well, I left it at that.
Mm-hmm.
And so from there is when we started talking. And then I guess you can say, over time, the rest is history.
So, what have you learned in terms of being with her? Have you learned to see the world in a different perspective?
Learning her perspective was that one of the main reasons I fell in love with her is because being blind in and of itself, although however much it looks like a disability on the outside, is and of itself a blessing in a sense, because you're not seeing somebody for who they are physically, you're seeing who they are mentally. You see their heart. You're more in tune with that sense of a person. And when she fell in love with me, I knew that she didn't fall in love with me because of what I looked like, because of any of that sort. There was no physical, lust behind it.
It went beyond any form of physical and exterior attribute.
Yes, I knew she fell in love with me because of who I am. And so that made me very, I was very, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm at a loss for words, but, in a sense, I had no issues falling in love with this woman. I was very happy to know that she fell in love with who I was, because I fell in love with who she was. I didn't care if she was blind or not.
At what point did you say to yourself, you know what, I think this one's it. I think I know I'm in love with her?
Funny story. I'm not going to get into details, but
Okay.
I've never been a one of good timing, and I told her while she was in the hospital that I liked her. I've never been one of good timing.
Wow. I'm sure she appreciated that, right?
I think she was kind of mad. Because one, I told her she was in the hospital, and two, why now? After I was going through this situation. So,
Oh my
but
gosh.
I am very happy to say that, as bad as people might think it sounds, I stole her from a very abusive guy.
Uh-huh.
I was her Sancho.
Did you witness did you witness any of what she went through with this particular person?
Yes, I did, and that just gave me more of a desire to try and help her. It went from helping her just because I want to, because no woman deserves to be treated that way, to like, wait a minute, there's something here, and I'm not sure yet. And then over time that developed, and I'm like, I love this woman. And me, being the smartest person in the freaking world, decided to tell her when she was in the hospital for a private reason.
So would you tell our viewers out there not to wait
Don't wait until the person you love is in the hospital to tell them you love them. Don't be a dingus.
Oh my gosh! Wow. So, I guess fast forward, and your son is born.
Mm-hmm.
Now, beforehand, did you realize that there might have been complications in terms of him being born a certain way, or was the fact that he was born blind a total surprise to you?
Well, first things first, no one knows how their children are going to be born. Genetics are genetics. You can never predict them. You can calculate probabilities, but you can never really predict genetics. And I need people to understand here that God puts things for a reason, okay?
That's right.
God will only give people what they can handle.
That's right.
Or he knows that if I give them this hardship, they can handle it because they're going to be strong.
That's it.
And they're going to be smart.
That's it.
Able to get through it.
Mm-hmm.
So it took me a while to understand that. But I was taken aback. My son was born premature, just like me.
Okay.
And, born, he was fine. Everything acted fine. It wasn't until a few months where we noticed that we weren't getting any tracking with his eyes when we were doing stuff. And we kept getting the runaround from several doctors, like, have this person check his eyes, have this person check. And then thanks to my mom, God bless her, that she referred us to a doctor, found a doctor. She did several calls, and we were finally able to get a diagnosis that our son is legally blind. And deep down we knew, my wife and I knew, but then girlfriend, we knew, but I guess hearing it was a little tougher. I've been raised by a disabled mom, so I was able to take stuff like that. But my wife broke down, she thought herself as nothing but a burden to him at that moment.
Oh, wow.
She thought it was her fault.
Wow. Because of this belief that if you are, then they will be.
Yeah, but she never thought that would happen to her. And for the record, no one thinks certain things are going to happen to you.
Correct.
You just have to take them as they are and how they come.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
So over time, we learned that lesson. And I just hope people here who are listening will be able to understand that.
Mm-hmm. I definitely agree with that.
But, my son was born blind, and,
how has he accepted it?
He is who he is. I mean, he has a personality. He's just like me, which I'm kind of scared.
Okay.
because I'm like, damn, he's got my attitude. He's got my sense of humor. We're gonna get in so much trouble. So, but anyway, it's very I just thank God that I've been able to teach him to accept who he is. Now, for any blind viewers out there, and I'd like to reach out to them if you don't mind.
Yeah, I was definitely going to ask you to do that as well. So, go ahead. Any words of wisdom that you have?
And even people who are sighted, who are watching this or listening to this, will. I've been questioned several times throughout being out with my family and doing things where I tell my son or my wife, "Did you see that? Did you look at that? Or come look at this?"
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
As if I'm talking to them that they have eyes.
Mm-hmm.
I've had people both in the blind community and outside of it, your normal people, that no, quote unquote normal people.
Yes.
That why are you telling them that they can't see?
Oh yes, they can.
I had blind people get offended, like, why are you telling them they can't see?
Oh yes, they
can see when they can't.
There's more than one way to see something.
Yeah, my son sees with his ears, his hands, his
and
heart.
His mind.
Same for my wife.
Yes.
And his mind.
Yes.
So he has his way of seeing, and when he sits there and he's like, I'm gonna watch TV. My wife tells me, I'm gonna watch TV. My son and wife tell me, I want to go see this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Don't sit there and think that just because you're blind, you're not going to be able to do stuff like that.
Correct.
It's absolutely mind-boggling when I hear people say, "I'm blind, so I can't do that."
Right, and I have been exposed to that.
I'm in a wheelchair because I can't do this.
Right.
And I'm this because I can't do this.
Right.
It really irks me.
Right.
Yes,
likewise.
There might be limitations. There might be limitations. You might not be able to get the full enjoyment out of certain things, but it's the experience that counts, You go to Disneyland, you'll see people in wheelchairs, like, why are they even here?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they're not there for the rides. Maybe they're there because they want to be with their family who's having fun. They want to see the different things, take pictures. There's always an underlying reason to it that we have no right as people to question.
And here's the thing, too, and I can testify to that as well. And one thing I want to say is never discourage an individual independently of what their impairment is. Never discourage them from wanting to try something. In my case, okay, I look at video games. I'm visually impaired and all that. And the mindset is certain people, you have the one side of people thinking, oh, how does he do it if he's, And then you have those in my same boat who will either love you or hate you for it. They'll love you because they look at you as an inspiration. Or they'll hate you because you're blind, so you're supposed to be secluded in that particular circle doing blind things with blind folks.
Mm-hmm.
I thankfully, and thank to God, that I always had a good support system behind me. I always had a family that was supportive of my decisions in what I wanted to do, even if it meant playing a video game. I played my first game when I was about 4 or 5 years old. It was on the NES. It was Mario Brothers. And, in my mind, I'm thinking, because of course I'm 4. Come on, I'm 4, I'm 5. So I'm thinking, oh man, I'm controlling the television. That was my way of looking at it at the time, before I learned that was a video game. But to me, it was so intriguing. It was so fascinating that I was able to do something like this, And I mean, I'm just saying, never discourage people from wanting to try, because when you really look at the landscape of things, I'm no different than you, and you're no different than me. I have
Exactly.
I have a cousin who he's autistic. And I remember one time I sat him in front of my piano, and I'm like, just messing around with him. I'm like, you know what this is, right? And he goes, yeah, it's a piano. And I'm like, yeah, exactly. Do you know how to play it? He's like, no, not really. So I tell him, look at my hands real quick. So I'm going up the chromatic scale. And he's studying my fingers. He's studying the way that I move my hands across the keyboard. And just messing around, just to see what he would do. I'm like, could you play that back for me the same way that I did? Much to my surprise, he played it with the exact fingering. He played it with the exact timing, release as I did. Note for note, placement for placement. Exactly as I played it. And that, I was like, my God. And that right there let me know,
cool, huh?
never underestimate. You can't underestimate people. Independently of their walk of life, independently of what they may or may not have. Because we're all the same in the long run. So...
Exactly. So I have a cousin who's autistic, and she is extremely smart. And that's the thing with autistic people, is people see autism as like they're mentally incapable of doing anything.
Correct.
There's autistic people who will do things better than any of us that can ever do.
Oh, my cousin is an expert when it comes to cars.
Exactly. All it is. And it's with anybody in a walk of life. Any walk of life. You find something that you love to do. Something that you're passionate about. You're going to put your effort into it 110% because you love it and you like how it makes you feel and you're so interested in learning everything you can about it.
There you go.
And so your cousin has talents that others will never have.
Exactly.
Just because, even being autistic, he loves something so much that he will learn and do everything he can about it.
Exactly. And that to me, even to me, that's inspiring. And
yes,
I think to
like,
others it
I
should
don't have
be.
an excuse.
Exactly.
I don't have an excuse to not do the simple things in life.
Exactly. Because if they can, then we can. And a lot of times I feel that it's not necessarily about the equation in itself. It's about how you solve that equation. It's about how you get around it. Yes, we might play video games differently. We might use a computer differently. We might use a phone differently. But we're doing the same thing in the long run of things. We're cracking the same code here,
Yes. Just in a different manner.
Correct.
What I like to say, and this helps me get through a lot of things in life, and it's something that maybe I hope people can take from this, is I learned in my job something very important, and I kind of apply it through life too. We all know that we have our glitches. We all know that we have problems. We all know that there's problems in life. And it could be whatever. Like, I'm having trouble with my marriage, finances, friends, whatever it may be. We know that the problems are there. Why are you going to dwell over that? So, always tell people, we don't have problems. We have solutions.
There you go.
So remember that. You know your problems are there. Why are you going to talk about it? Find a solution to it and figure it out.
Because if it has a beginning,
it.
obviously it has some sort of ending.
Yes, and this ending can be X amount of time away. It can be something simple that you can figure out and like, oh, that's how you do it, and then you figure it out. It can be something that might take years, research, especially if you're a doctor or if you study things like that. You know that something's there, but you just need to figure it out. And that's all you have to do. And though, if you work towards those solutions, you'll be just fine. At least in my mind.
What would be your word of wisdom for visually impaired individuals who live this mantra of I can't? Or who say I can't because I'm blind?
I would like to say, if you say you can't because you're blind, you're more than capable because you are blind. Being a quote-unquote sighted person myself, I will never have the degree of intelligence and intuition that at least most of the blind people that I know in my life, that I've been blessed to get to know, will ever have. I look at my son. You say, oh, he only speaks Spanish and English. No, he speaks Braille. Braille in of it in itself is another language.
Yes, it is. Because it's something that others can't understand.
Exactly. So, that's what I'm saying. So if you're any of those blind people that says I can't, you're more than capable of being able to. It's just going to take a lot of heart. It might take a lot more work. It might take a lot more dedication. But you can do it. You just got to make sure you put yourself behind that.
There's a game for PlayStation. It's called Until Dawn. And...
screw that.
Hold on. Listen. Listen. I love that game. Listen. That's a game that more or less it's very visual. Okay, very visual in the sense of there's quick time events and there's puzzles that to a certain degree wouldn't be blind friendly to solve. Now with that being said, I said to myself, you know what? I might be stuck in certain areas. So what I ended up doing, I'm like, one way or another, I'm gonna get through this. I got my ass on YouTube and I looked at Rad Brad's gameplays of the game. And I studied and I watched what he was doing. And I was just memorizing move for move, button press for button press, what he was doing. And alongside what I was queuing in from the screen, I was listening to his commentary. And his commentary alongside everything that I was picking up from the screen, from the sound, all of that, I was just putting it all together and I would say, oh, so at point this, I'm supposed to see or hear or feel this, and just stringing all of it together, creating my own little formula in my head. I would go back to the game. Boom. There you go. May be unorthodox to how other people play certain games, but I did it. I could stand here right now and I could tell you I did it. And whenever I play games that are quote-unquote too visual, and I best them, and I learned them, I feel proud of myself. And then, people may say, oh, but it's just a game. It's just a stupid video game, No. I don't look at it as a video game. I look at it as an accomplishment. I look at it as something to be proud of.
Exactly. And, everyone's so afraid of the what's happening now. You might have things that you're trying to get through, and then now it's oh, I feel like it's too hard, or now I feel like I can't do it, or now I can't figure this out.
Mm-hmm.
But it always gets hard. It'll always get worse before it gets better. That's just, in my mind, I feel like that's God saying, I'm testing you.
And it makes you stronger.
You can do it. Yes. You just need to get through it.
Mm-hmm.
And that moment you push yourself to that limit and you jump over that hurdle. You force your way through that hurdle. You break it down. Mm-hmm. That satisfaction is the best thing you'll ever feel.
There you go.
And from that, you've also learned the experiences and the skills that come along with that. So any blind person that says, I can't, you can, and you will. You just need to work hard at it.
There you go. Now, let's get into something a little bit comical here. Has there ever been a moment, and looking at it from the physical standpoint, right? Mm-hmm. Has there ever been a moment in time in which maybe your wife or your son tell you, oh man, you're more blind than I am, because maybe you bumped into a wall, or maybe you couldn't find something that they found quicker than you, that sort of thing?
Oh yeah, that happens all the time. I'm such a scatterbrain.
Yeah? You got anything to share?
I couldn't find the remote when my wife was holding it.
Oh my God. Now did she know you were looking for it?
No, yeah, and she fucked with me, so that's just...
Oh wow. I could just imagine when you finally locate the controller and oh my God.
I know, right?
Happens to the best of us.
Oh yeah. And it might be a little too mean if I mention it, because I do this to my son all the time. I'm a very practical joker. My son and I will mess with each other because, like I said, he's like me, and that scares me. But he'll hide things from me just to see if I'll find it, and I'll mess with him because he knows the house, the layout, and I'll be like, okay, I'll take this couch and I'll move it 1 foot to the left.
Uh-huh.
And he'll run into it.
Does he know it's you at this point?
Yeah.
Yeah, what's he tell you?
He's like, Daddy, why'd you move the couch? Like, that's what you get for da-da-da-da. And
right. It's payback for whatever prank he pulled on you.
Yeah. And so it's that sense of humor that...
And obviously he knows that there's no malicious intent behind it now. Come on.
No,
and I make mention of that before people start hitting their sensitivity buttons,
Yeah, so there's no malicious intent. It's just I was a bit of a class clown growing up too, and my son he's very silly, and we're always doing silly things. We'll gang up on his mom and really piss her off.
Oh Lord! So
like I said,
how would you piss her off?
Scared.
How does he piss her off?
I usually start it, and I'd be like, hey, let's go tickle your mom's feet.
So you instigate it.
Yes.
You bait him into following your lead.
Yeah, I'm like, come on, let's do it. And he's like, all right, let's go. And then we'll do it, and then she'll start to get really mad, and she'll start, like, beating me up, and I'll just tell him, run! Get out of here, save yourself! So he runs off, and I'm like, you little, I thought, don't leave me!
Oh, so that's beautiful.
We're very, we always do these things, and that's the thing about, and it's really with any significant others, you're just like, I think I'll piss them off a little bit more, and then I better stop.
Oh, that's so good. Wow. I like to see that, because I get the sense that you're very you're very tightly knitted family, very united and for each other.
Yeah, and others, like especially my wife, call it immaturity.
Immaturity. Oh Lord.
No, I'm always gonna be a little kid.
Is she gonna listen to this podcast?
Probably.
Probably. Okay.
And I'll probably get.
What's gonna happen to you afterwards?
I don't know yet, but
you want to blame it on me?
Nah.
You'll take
my
it.
fault.
Yeah. Okay.
It is what it is. What am I gonna do about it? Nothing.
Well, folks, I hope we could have him on a later show. I mean, if he's still around, then I'll be letting you know.
It's like, you're gonna freaking write my obituary here? This guy, good guy, on a show. That was all the end, and that was it.
That's it.
Oh yeah, how he die? Death by podcast. That's what happened.
Ain't life an obituary?
Oh my god, that's like a joke my grandfather would tell me. Are you kidding me?
I know, bro. Hey, the best jokes are the ones that are so bad that they're, you know what I mean? Like, okay,
do you know? Have you heard of anti-jokes?
Go ahead. Yes, I have.
Do you know what anti-jokes are?
Go ahead.
Like, they're jokes that, for people who listening might not know it, it's a joke where you're expecting a punchline.
Exactly. Yes.
But it's not there.
Exactly.
It's like you're being realistic about something. So the joke is that there is no punchline.
Exactly, and you leave that person,
and you're just like in a gap there. You're just like, wait, what?
Huh? What?
And then they're like, you're stupid. And, and that would be it. But, all right. So what's brown and sticky?
A stick.
A
stick. Please. I get the hell out of here with that.
I got one more. One that's better. An Irish man walks out of a bar.
Walks out of a bar. Yes. Exactly.
That's it.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm saying. Exactly. That's it.
It's like that joke you hear, hey, why did the chicken cross the road to get to the other side?
Exactly. It's like, it's so stupid. Oh my gosh. You want to hear really lame jokes, so lame that they're funny. Ask what's her name? Alexa.
Alexa?
Yeah.
You're talking about that, like, that Amazon thing?
Yes,
that,
yes.
Like,
ask Alexa to recite you a joke. Bro, they are so bad that they're good. Holy crap. Yes.
Oh man.
But with all that being said, you wanna leave some words of wisdom for our viewers before I cue them out with some music and we rendezvous on out of here.
All right. Just if you can, remember that order, faith, family, business. I definitely encourage that. If you live your life by those principles in that order, you will find yourself to be a lot more happier, at least more content with the way your life is going. And always never know until you try. If you say you can't, try it. You might not be able to, but you're not going to live the rest of your life that, I never did it, or I never tried to do it. You can do it. It just takes some time. And so I just hope that. And never, ever, let whatever it might be, disability or otherwise, stop you from doing what you truly love to do. That's really what I can say. I mean, nothing more, nothing less than that.
There you go, folks. Well, I hope you guys were entertained. I know I was. I love having people that I can interview, and I love hearing stories and just sitting down with people, shooting the breeze, having a great time. And overall, just learning things from different folks.
I never told you guys my group home stories. Oh, well, another time.
You want to get to that before we could end it on that good note if you want.
I worked in a group home for a year. And they're teenage boys, 13 to 17. Now, mind you, anybody who's a man, teenage boys, badass teenage boys, 13 to 17 years old. Remember that. If you were a bad kid or you did some stupid stuff, imagine this to the nth power. We had a kid. Now, his name is going to make you think this guy is weird. His name was Jaquan. Jaquan? I think it was Jaquan.
Uh-huh.
And he snuck a girl into the group home. Okay? Now, mind you, we didn't know how long she was there.
Oh,
but
boy.
I'm pretty sure all 6 of these boys were running the train on this.
Oh, boy.
And we found out that they were stealing a bunch of snacks from the cabinet. And we're just like, who's eating all these snacks? Apparently, they have these bunk beds. Now, remember, these bunk beds have one that's lower and one that's higher than the other one. And you can, like, stack one under the other and stuff like that. They rearranged their beds in a way where there is this little gap where they were bringing this girl food. All right? They're bringing this girl food, and she's, like, hiding out in this gap between the two beds. And we don't know how long she's been hiding there. We don't know if it's been weeks, days. We don't know. We just found her one day. Because we decided to be like, someone's stealing the snacks. Everyone out of the room to the living room now. And we put them in the living room. And then we find this girl, and she's just sitting there like, am I in trouble? Well, damn right you're in trouble.
Oh, my Lord. Wow.
And then we call her parents, okay? We call her parents. And apparently, there was a missing persons case.
Oh, my God. What?
Apparently, her parents had reported her missing.
Are you kidding me, man?
I am not kidding you.
What? How does that happen? Wait a minute.
I don't know. There was some crazy things that happened. But that was one of the things. And then one of the other kids, because he didn't want to come home, called his school with a bomb threat.
Oh, snap.
But, alright, so that's never a joke, a bomb threat. But who makes a bomb threat with their real name in the email?
Oh, come on. Seriously, man.
So it got traced to the group home, okay? Same stupid kid, Jaquan.
Holy crap.
And the house gets raided. And I just sit there like, I don't know what the hell's going on. I'm about to get cavity searched by some guy named Macho. I don't know.
Oh, shoot.
Oh, I have a list of them, but that's just a taste of what this group home was like. I hope you guys got a laugh out of it, because as scary as it was, I look back on it now and it's funny.
Oh, man. And folks, under that note, I want to say, I hope you took some good encouragement from this podcast, good vibes. I hope we've made you smile, made you think, and remember, there's more than one way to see something. It goes beyond any physicality that we could fathom. With that said, I hope that you guys keep us locked. We are, as I said. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say, thank you for having me on. Hey, this man does a lot of good shows. He talks a lot of great things. He talks to a lot of great people. And, it's always a pleasure to be able to talk and listen and see what he does. So please, like, comment, and subscribe to this man. Hit that bell so you know when he's coming on. He's a very interesting man. He's got a lot of things for you, and I see him doing a lot of stuff with this channel. So I definitely encourage anybody to enjoy this show. And I want to thank you again for having me here.
It's been an absolute pleasure, and I also look to having you more on this show, and see what we could cook up.
Yeah, it would be an honor. Cook up, but speaking of cooking up, I'm about to go enjoy some of this arroz con leche.
Okay, well, you go ahead and enjoy that grub, my friend.
All right, thanks again, and I hope anyone who's listening to this have a pleasant day, pleasant evening, whenever you're listening to this, wherever you are, enjoy yourself. And remember, live positive, because we don't need that negativity.
And with that said, folks, be blessed, one love. And remember, keep us locked. We'll be back tomorrow with a very, very intriguing podcast. We'll be discussing the death of one Owen Hart. So you're going to want to stay tuned to that. You're not going to want to miss it. See ya, folks. We'll play some jazzy music to lead you out.